In the Bible, there are many things that are misunderstood and mistranslated into English that comes from what we call Hebrew. First of all, we need to understand that that which we refer to as Hebrew is in point of fact not Hebrew, but Canaanite, Phoenician Canaanite. The bloodline is from the ancient Middle East called the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians, their area, that area in which Phoenicia existed was called Cana, the land of Cana. So today we refer to the Canaanite, Phoenician Canaanite language as Hebrew. All you have to do is go to reference books and look up ancient Hebrew, and it will tell you ancient Hebrew is actually Phoenician Canaanite. And it develops and mutates and comes down through history until today we call it Hebrew. But Hebrew is actually a Phoenician language. And many of the concepts and ideas which are expressed in the Old Testament are not original to the Old Testament. It goes back to even further back into ancient history, so that many of the concepts and belief systems in Judaism and Christianity are very, very ancient. And I believe that the Bible is one of the most important books on the earth because it's really telling you some really interesting things, but if you don't understand how to read the symbols, it's never going to dawn on you how this stuff works. I think the New Testament is probably the most important story in the whole world, but not as history, but as a metaphor, as an encoded message. But let me go back to this one subject that I've been very interested in for a long time, and that is, in the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis 1:1 says, in the King James Bible, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. But that's not what it says in the old ancient Hebrew or Phoenician language. That's not what it says in the original language. That's how it was translated from the English, in the King's English. Well, the King's English, the King James Version, was translated by the best translators that the king had at the time. And it was very well done. However, they know more about the language today than what they did then, and so there's a lot of imperfections in the King James Bible that could be misleading unless you understand what the words actually meant in the ancient world. And so when you read in the beginning, this is Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. That's not what it says in Hebrew. It says in the beginning of the creation, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Elohim is not the word God. El is a Phoenician Canaanite name or word for deity, El, E-L. We talked a little bit about that last week. Elohim is like adding an S onto an English word. You have C-A-R for car, or C-A-R-S, cars, more than one. So adding an S on the end, to the end of most English words means it's plural, in the plural. Well, that's exactly what Elohim means. El is God, Elohim is plural. So the correct understanding should be read, the Hebrew read, in the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth, not God. And more interesting than that, this is why, incidentally, in Genesis 1:28, when God is creating Adam and Eve, the first couple, and it says, God said, come, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Who's us and our? Was God talking to himself? Come, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Later on in Genesis, I think it's 3, the scripture says, God said, here man has become as one of us, knowing good and evil. The point is, who is God talking about? Us. Here's man made in our image after looking like us. Here, now he's like us. Who's us? Who's our? Well, it's Elohim, the gods. So consequently, what we're talking about here is that the gods created us, created the heavens and the earth and all things on it.